I think it's interesting that you started the organization, the Apraxia Network,
Yes.
because you didn't feel like you had any support. You kind of felt like you were the Lone Ranger, and you were wondering, is there others out there like me? Are there other parents going through what I'm going through? And so you began the network, and you soon found that indeed your hunch was right. There were
Yes.
quite a few parents going through
Yes.
what you're going through.
And you never know, from a parent's perspective, where you're going to get the resources from, as far as the connections from. People will just find you on the internet all of a sudden, or someone referred them to you because they have a card, or they went to your meeting, or something of that nature. You never know where it's going to come from. So I never pass judgment on finding out where people have learned, whether it's the internet or YouTube or Facebook, which we have, as well, or the website. You never know where. And, that's one thing that I'm always relieved by, that it is out there. But as a parent, it's very hard when you have an infant, you don't know where to go for help. If there is a problem, nobody's helping you. It's like swimming in the water by yourself, because nobody is giving you a hand. And that's the one thing I've found out over the years, is that if you just help a few, you've helped a lot more than before.
Absolutely. Well, you touched on this a little bit before, but what are your goals? I mean, what would you like to see happen through this organization? I know that you wish more doctors were informed, and that they in turn were informing parents, so that they could see those warning signs and be aware of those warning signs.
One of my goals for the organization is not only to empower the parents and professionals throughout the world, that there are resources out there where to go for help, but also produce a documentary. That's what we're in the process of trying to do. Require the funding for a documentary for worldwide disclosure from birth through adulthood for these individuals who have apraxia and their families, what they've gone through. So therefore, the people know that there is hope. We all climb the mountain. That's one of my own quotes. We all have climbed the mountain, and we have a certain way of getting there. We all get to the top. It's not always a straight route, but we all get there. And that's one of the things that I wanted to point out, not only through this documentary, but through the Late Talker book, which has been published, which is a great resource, as well as the pending book that I had written for young children. Because,
let's talk about that for a second. You have penned a book, and it's about apraxia.
Yes.
And it kind of is about apraxia. It's in the third person, or it's in the persona of the actual child who has it, right?
It's a combination of a parent and the child, because the child has the problem talking, in a sense. The parent has the one who has to introduce it to other regular kids, if you want to call it that, or parents, and what happens in the book. Even though it's a short book at this particular point, it's a feeling of, if you don't try, you never know what you can accomplish. And that's one thing that I found over the nine years. If I didn't try, people wouldn't know where to go for help. I certainly wouldn't have known where to go for help. And if you try and you succeed, then it's better than not try at all.
You have a wonderful message on your business card. Every day is a new beginning. Why is that on your business card?
When you have a child with apraxia, you never know when the words are going to come. You never know when the speech is going to come. But every day you could have an incident where the child will be able to produce a word, or say a word or a phrase. Even if you don't hear it again for a couple of weeks or months, you heard it. You know it can happen. So with intensive speech and occupational therapy, it's a long road, but it can be done. You just have to make sure that you have to give the kids a chance, because it took them a long while to get there. and they continue to go further on.
What do you think is the essential message that you have for young parents so that they can be on the outlook for this, so that they can be aware and just, monitor their infants and
when you have an infant, the one thing that you should look at, not only as they're developing, look for the low muscle tone, making sure they can sit up, they can roll over, even if they don't cry at that particular point, making sure there's eye contact. Not only for them to be sitting up, but they can sit up by themselves, pull themselves up, make sure they're not weak in their muscle tones, whether it's standing up, whether it's sitting up by themselves unassisted. It's very important, because if they have low muscle tone, they will have a hard time not only sitting up and crawling, pulling themselves up, and things of that nature as they build up and develop. And don't be afraid to go to early intervention. If you go to early intervention or developmental pediatricians for an evaluation and everything turns out fine as your child develops, that's fine. Then it just costs you a consultation. But if you don't go and there is a problem and you don't know if there's a problem, you have a very short time, basically from birth to 5 or 6, to really start molding the child, if you want to call it that, from speech occupational therapy or speech therapy, to begin the sounds or start producing the sounds, showing them how to produce the sounds from the speech pathologist's standpoint, and to exercise them at home. When the child doesn't have that early intervention, that's a whole block of time that they've lost. Because once they get to be 5 or 6 or 7, if they've never had it previously, it's very hard to teach a 7-year-old how to do the beginning sounds of speech from speech pathologist's perspective if they've never had it previously.
Jeanne, you have a wonderful network of resources available for parents, one of them being your website. Give us all the contact information, if you don't mind.
Certainly. People can contact me, Jeanne Buesser, at the Apraxia, A-P-R-A-X-I-A, network of Bergen County, P.O. Box 1142, Paramus, P-A-R-A-M-U-S, New Jersey.
And you're a good speller, too.
Well, you never know, where you're going to get people from. 07653-1142. And my email address is J as in Jack, B as in boy, mistletoe, M-I-S-T-L-E-T-O-E, at optonline, optonline.net. And my cell phone is 201-741-4035. You can always call, give me a message. I'll either email you back, or if you're not in the area, I can always mail you information on Apraxia.
And your son's doing great these days?
Adam's doing great.
Yeah.
He's still, in all honesty, he still has issues because he's going to middle school now, middle to high school. So because of, when you're behind a little bit, it takes you a lot longer and a lot harder to catch up.
Well, we all have issues, but we all don't have a great mom like you.
Well, thank you so very much.
What
Take
a pleasure.
Care. Thank you so much.
Jeanne, it really has been great.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Jeanne Buesser, my guest, the president, the founder of the Apraxia Network of Bergen County. Wonderful lady, and we're just so happy to have her here on Community Impact.
I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
It's been great. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
You've been watching Community Impact, a public affairs presentation exploring issues that are important to the community of West Milford and the surrounding area of Passaic County and New Jersey. Community Impact is a production of WFME Television of West Milford, New Jersey. The opinions expressed on this program are those of our guests and not necessarily the views of the staff and management of WFME and Family Television. Thank you for watching, and be sure to join us again next week at this same time for another edition of Community Impact.